Hashima is a tiny island with a big story to tell.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 creepiest ghost towns on Earth.
Their homeland in the south of the country seems frozen in time, as if the war had just ended.
No one could have guessed that the peaceful village would be destroyed that very afternoon.
But unless you have got a skill that is really needed, then I would recommend not coming here.
For this list, we'll be looking at the most unsettling ghost towns and urban areas around the world, whether they're partially or completely abandoned or in decline. Have you visited any of these locations? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10. Varosha, Cyprus. The disputed area of Varosha is truly something to behold.
Trapped in the past, this town was abandoned 46 years ago, and no one has lived here since. Sealed off and neglected, its buildings are decaying and roads crumbling.
On one side are the idyllic white sand beaches and blue waters of Famagusta, but swimmers need only turn their heads to see the military blockades and fences and the distant site of an abandoned city, its gray towers standing utterly abandoned. In its heyday, Varosha was a popular tourist destination visited by the likes of Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. However, tourism stalled following the Turkish invasion of Cyprus in 1974, and the city's inhabitants fled the area.
The Geneva peace talks have collapsed. The Turks have lost patience, have given up words in favor of war. They will take what they want of Cyprus by force of arms.
Varosha has remained abandoned since the mid-70s, although a population of 226 was reported in the 2011 census. In 2020, some parts of Varosha were finally open to the public.
Hundreds of people have come to visit, curious to see this famous ghost town.
Number 9. Hashima Island, Japan. Located 10 miles from Nagasaki is Hashima Island. The island spans 16 acres and contains both a famous seawall and crumbling concrete apartment buildings. It began its life as a seabed coal mining facility, operating from 1887 to 1974, coincidentally the same year that Varosha was abandoned.
Mines were built. People came. The money flowed.
The island's population peaked in 1959 with over 5,200 permanent residents. Unfortunately, Japan began replacing coal with petroleum throughout the 60s, and work on Hashima Island soon dried up, forcing its inhabitants to leave for better opportunities.
This place was abandoned practically overnight. 40 years later, life has started taking Hashima back.
It has remained barren ever since, although the island is open for tourism. It has also been used as a filming location for TV and movies, and it served as Raul Silva's hideout in Skyfall.
Hello, James. Welcome. Do you like the island?
Number 8. Consonno, Italy. Back in the early 1960s, Italy was experiencing an economic boom, and a rich entrepreneur named Mario Bagno had visions of a Las Vegas in Italy. He purchased a plot of land and began building the so-called City of Toys, which was meant to attract tourists from nearby Milan. Like Vegas, Consonno was filled with kitschy buildings and attractions. However, an unforeseen tragedy struck the city, with the main load reading into Consonno being washed away in a storm. It spelled doom for prospective tourism, and construction on Consonno was permanently halted, despite many of its buildings nearing completion. The site is currently accessible, but visitors certainly won't find the glitz and glamour of Italian Vegas. Number 7. Kolmanskop, Namibia. Found in Africa's Namib Desert is a sandy ghost town by the name of Kolmanskop. Afrikaans for Coleman's Head, Kolmanskop was founded in the early 20th century, when German miners looking for diamonds settled in the area. The village had it all, including a casino, theater, and even Africa's first tram.
The town grew quickly, fueled by the enormous wealth hidden beneath the sands.
The area began to decline in the late 1920s when a greater source of diamonds was found hundreds of miles to the south in Oranjemund, prompting many of its inhabitants to pack up and move.
When they were abandoned, it left this really striking environment with these quaint European cottages just taken over by the orange sand.
Furthermore, the price of diamonds was dramatically decreasing. The village was abandoned for good in 1956, and today many of its buildings have been reclaimed by the desert, its hallways overflowing with invading sand dunes. Number 6. Craco, Italy. The beautiful Craco was a victim of plumbing. Found in the Italian province of Matera, the area of Craco has been inhabited since at least the 8th century BCE and reached a population of over 1,000 in the 1500s. Unfortunately, poor infrastructure in the water and sewer systems eventually resulted in a series of devastating landslides, and much of Craco was evacuated in the early 1960s. It was abandoned entirely after the 1980 Pripyat earthquake, which killed up to 5,000 people and displaced 250,000. Today, Craco is a popular film location, appearing in the likes of Quantum of Solace and The Passion of the Christ. Number 5. Bodie, California. A man by the name of W.S. Bodie discovered gold east of the Sierra Nevada in 1859, prompting the creation of a small mining camp. The Standard Company then found a deposit of gold-bearing ore in the area, and a boomtown was quickly established as people flocked to see their riches.
Located high up in the Sierra, Bodie had a similar population to LA in the 1870s, and similarly ambitious dreams. And a lot more gold.
By 1879, Bodie had a population of 10,000. However, the early 1900s brought about record low mining profits and the closure of the Standard Consolidated Mine. Despite a severe drop in population, Bodie remained operational until 1942, when the local post office ceased operation, and the last gold mine was ordered closed. It is now an authentic Wild West ghost town full of blowing sand and dust, creaking wood planks, and empty saloons.
When people come here to Bodie, what are the first comments or what do they notice right off the bat?
I would say in general, people are surprised by how many buildings are here. Normally you think of the town of a ghost town.
Number 4. Akarmara and Gagra, Georgia. War and strife take their toll. And so they certainly have in the highly disputed region of Abkhazia, Georgia, particularly in the abandoned urban area of Akarmara.
A mountainous region in the heart of the Caucasus on the eastern Black Sea coast. Abkhazia was once a popular Soviet holiday resort.
The town of Gagra in the region found popularity in the early 20th century when a member of the Russian royal family established a resort in the area, which eventually became a tourist destination and holiday getaway for wealthy Soviet citizens. But like the hard-up mining town of Akarmara, Gagra suffered horribly in the War of Abkhazia in the early 90s, with some buildings remaining in ruins. While the larger resort area of Gagra has somewhat rebounded, and hotels are still open to primarily Russian sun-seeking vacationers, Akarmara is essentially abandoned, complete with crumbling buildings and rusting vehicles. Number 3. Chacabuco, Chile. Like Gagra, the abandoned town of Chacabuco is steeped in a disturbing history. It's found within the Atacama Desert of northern Chile and was founded in the mid-1920s as a booming nitrate town. Unfortunately, the invention of synthetic nitrate proved to be detrimental to the town's economy, and it was abandoned in 1938. In 1973, the Chilean dictator, Augusto Pinochet, turned Chacabuco into a prison camp, and it held nearly 2,000 Chilean prisoners. Today, Chacabuco stands eerily abandoned, both a shell of its once prosperous self and an unsettling reminder of Pinochet's dictatorial reign over the country. Number 2. Oradour-sur-Glane, France. Located in central France, Oradour-sur-Glane was a thriving little village before Nazi occupation in World War II.
This was Oradour in the summer of 1944. This film was made shortly before the massacre. People are out strolling. And the Allies are advancing through France.
On June 14, 1944, the village was the site of horrible violence at the hands of the Waffen-SS. Much of the town was razed and burnt, and it remains as such to this day.
In the following days, surrounding towns, unaware of what had happened in Oradour, witnessed soldiers riding bicycles and scooters, bearing the names of Oradour residents.
French President Charles de Gaulle decreed that Oradour-sur-Glane would remain in its ruinous state as a tribute to its fallen citizens. Today, visitors are met with the horrible sight of crumbling and blackened buildings, rusting machinery, and abandoned everyday items like bicycles, sewing machines, and vehicles. Horrible reminders of lives prematurely taken.
It's still not known why that SS company targeted Oradour for destruction.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions. Terlingua, Texas. mining town left mostly abandoned.
If you move here from another place, don't expect to come out here with $50 in your pocket and a half a dozen 2x4s because you ain't gonna make it.
Centralia, Pennsylvania. Site of an underground coal mine fire burning since 1962.
Mining towns across America regularly dealt with their trash by using abandoned coal pits as landfills. When full, these would be set on fire, and some believe this could be what triggered Centralia.
Deception Island, Antarctica. Deserted with an abandoned whaling station.
It's a haunting place where tendrils of steam rise from the still active volcano beneath the leaden sea. This place is full of the ghosts of those who once labored here.
Baichuan, China. Devastated by the 2008 Sichuan earthquake.
This is or was Baichuan. Some 13,000 people, about half the population, were killed here by the earthquake. Today the whole area has been fenced off and Baichuan has literally become a ghost town.
Muley, Denmark. A hamlet in the Faroe Islands with 4 permanent residents.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Pripyat, Ukraine. Perhaps the most famous ghost town in the world, Pripyat, Ukraine was a closed city that housed the employees of the nearby Chernobyl nuclear power plant. By 1986, it had a population of nearly 50,000 residents. Of course, this was the site of the famous or infamous Chernobyl disaster, with fatal plumes of radiation blown into the atmosphere.
Chain of disaster is now complete.
Pripyat was evacuated following a lengthy and costly delay and has remained abandoned ever since. It is the quintessential ghost town, complete with dirty and silent buildings, everyday items littering lived-in apartments, empty city squares, and even the famous Pripyat amusement park sitting rusted, still, and overgrown. It's a sad reminder of what was and what could have been.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.